My name is Kathy Mullins, and I am proud to serve as the Executive Director of the GRCC Foundation and the Vice President for College Advancement here at Grand Rapids Community College. Thank you again for coming this morning and taking the time out. It's pretty early, it's pretty cold, especially you students. Thank you so much. There are 172 of you here today, so this is the biggest breakfast we've ever had. Before we get started, I'd like to take a minute to recognize the GRCC Board of Trustees members that are present today, those that are currently serving and those that are retired. Please stand up for a minute. Wave. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank the GRCC Foundation board members that are here this morning. If you could stand up and wave, be recognized. These are two groups of leaders in our community that serve with zero pay and serve for a long time in representation of you students and the community that we serve. So thank you all very much for that. I'd also like to say thank you to the GRCC music students that performed for us this morning. We have with us today Griffin Going, Nuri Tet, Ethan Arbiter, Daniel Mertz, and Alania Plews. These students are coached by our GRCC music professor, Jared Staub. Thank you all for the beautiful jazz music this morning. So this morning, what you're here for this morning is the connection between you as a scholarship donor and your student as a scholarship recipient. It's a very important relationship, especially for, some would say, more important for our students, but as someone who donates to the foundation, I would say I feel like I get more out of donating for the academic success of these students than our students themselves do. But we know that these students here in this room this morning are the future leaders of our community, and I thank you all for investing in their academic success. And students, speaking of academic success, for those of you that feel that need to go to class, get up and go to class. You will not offend any of us. So now, as we get ready to kick off this program, I'd like to introduce you all to the president of Grand Rapids Community College, Dr. Stephen Ender.
Thank you, Kathy, and good morning, everyone. It's kind of like a spring morning, quite frankly. A sighting yesterday, I announced to everybody on my floor, 10 robins outside of my window on the ground, very dazed and confused. But I asked for witnesses, they were robins. I said, Michigan, February the 15th, that's pretty good. I just want to thank everybody in the room. The two boards that were introduced for their work, the donors in the room, we cannot do our work without you. And for our students to be so blessed as a college president and faculty and staff to have students that, and this is the huge difference I see in my work in the 2-year as compared to a 4-year institution, you just don't bring much of an entitlement mentality to the classroom and to the institution. And I love that about you. And by that I mean my kids in kindergarten knew they were going to college. And they took it all for granted. I don't see our students taking higher education for granted at all. They have clearly figured out for themselves that there's something here that's going to take me to a better place in my life that will be better for me and my family. And that's just a wonderful spirit to bring to a learning situation. So I thank you for that commitment. And I will say, there are people sitting around you who do not know you but share the same belief in you that we do here at GRCC. I trust you will not let any of us down. I trust you're going to be great role models for other students around you, for folks that will live in your neighborhood one day, and for your coworkers. And that you will help us all in the next several years kind of figure out how to bring a sense of unity in this country. And that's something we all need to be, I think, at this point in time, a little concerned about. So this is my last breakfast. This year, the foundation was able to award about $650,000 in scholarships to GRCC students. Because of their work, next year, that number will be over $1 million. That's pretty good. Kathy may have to move this to the field house before she's done. So it is a pleasure to see you all here. I would be remiss not to mention that as an institution, we are in some transition at this point. I'm clearly in transition, kind of starting to wonder about the next phase of my life. But it's such an honor for me to be able to introduce to those that have not yet met him, Dr. Bill Pink. Bill, please stand. Let us recognize you. Bill is the next president, the 10th president at GRCC. Bill has been with us working as a vice president for the last 18 months. He caught my eye early. I have not only great expectations, but I absolutely know that he will be a wonderful leader for this institution, and I expect him to stay around for a long, long time. Bill. So with that, let's have a great morning. Great to see everybody here. It is wonderful to see this room filled with so many people. It just, you know, as the president, you think about where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, and I just love the trajectory. I just love the trajectory of this institution. Thank you very much.
I too love the trajectory, and we can thank President Ender for that trajectory that we are seeing right now, especially the $1 million that we are able to offer next year in scholarships. So thank you, President Ender, for your legacy. So now here's a really fun part of the program for me, because I get to talk about Jim Skidmore. Jim Skidmore is an amazing donor to the foundation, but he's also become an amazing friend to me. And I'm really happy to be able to honor you in this way this morning, Jim. Jim and his, the scholarship that we're going to talk about today, Jim Skidmore and Sally A. Skidmore Business Scholarship. This scholarship was established in 2000, and Jim's educational service to this community spans over 41 years. So Jim is definitely committed to student success and has dedicated his entire life to that. Jim understands the importance of a scholarship and the importance of the scholarship to student success because he himself, as a young man, was a scholarship recipient. In 1955, he earned a business degree from Ferris State University, and he later returned there for a teaching degree. His teaching career started at Lee High School in Wyoming, where he taught accounting, and in 1967, he joined Grand Rapids Junior College's business department as an accounting instructor. Jim initiated several new business programs during his tenure at GRCC, including the Business Competition Day, which involves students from Kent Intermediate School District high schools. He also authored and designed an accounting workbook, and that was published nationwide. Not only was Jim a faculty member here, he also served as the head of the GRCC's business department for several years prior to his retiring in 1999. Here today, representing the James D. and Sally A. Skidmore Business Scholarship Fund is Jim Skidmore. Also, we have with him Brandon Sinclair. Brandon was the 2015-16 scholarship recipient. Thank you both for being here. And Jim, thank you so much for your commitment to GRCC, GRJC, West Michigan, and our students. We're now going to show a video that highlights the James D. and Sally A. Skidmore Business Scholarship.
I was a senior in high school, and my dad ran off, took the money in the car. I didn't know what we were going to do. I had to pay the rent, so I had saved money for going to college, so we used that. And then that I could see was not going to last that long, so I made a little money, and I loved every job I did except cooking. I went to Ferris, because then Ferris turned their scholarships into full ride, and so I got that. So many people helped me.
I come from a household where only one of my parents works. My dad just works part-time at a car shop, and my mom broke her back a few years ago, so they couldn't really afford to put me through college. The scholarship that I received was a great shock to me. Yeah, it was just a great relief. It really was.
I created the scholarship. I didn't have to create it. I got the Emeritus Award.
Mr. James Skidmore, the Board of Trustees has established a scholarship in his name to benefit students who need financial aid.
So that's how I got started. Then when I got into the antique business, I thought, I'm going to put what I made into the scholarship fund. I went up, found out where Mary Reed's office was and so forth. So I went up and I said, how do I go about making a donation to the scholarship fund?
Last year I got to meet Jim, and he was a professor here at the college for quite some time.
He started talking and we just had a great conversation. There was no dead air.
Having that kind of connection, I mean, he comes from a similar family background.
I really was impressed by him.
It was just really cool. I decided to study business administration. It's worked out pretty great. It's worked out well. I have no regrets about coming to GRCC. It's been absolutely excellent for me. After my freshman year of college, I decided I want to go to Ferris, and as soon as my loans are paid off, I'll go for an MBA.
You know, I was just lucky, and just passing it on and then the thought that it'll still be something that I'm gone, that makes me feel good.
I would like to think, and I'd like to hope that someday I'll make a decent amount of money where I could contribute back, and that's something that I'm really passionate about, because that relief and that excitement that I had when I received a scholarship, I would definitely like to pass on to some other student someday here at GRCC.
Thank you again for your commitment to GRCC, your commitment to the students we serve. And Brandon, thank you for committing to giving back, because that is just as important as what our scholarship donors are doing today, is that our scholarship recipients also remember that and reach back to students coming along behind you. So thank you. Now we are going to have come to the podium Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson is the recipient of the Human Resources Professionals Scholarship. Here today representing the Scholarship Fund from GRCC is Kathy Kubiak, Jessica Behrens, and Rachel Palucci. Dwayne?
Good morning. Again, my name is Dwayne Johnston. I'm really not good with speaking, but couldn't pass up this opportunity, great opportunity. As she said, I received a Human Resources Scholarship. My major is business marketing. My objective is to be an entrepreneur and create my own business, grow it, possibly sell it, you know, do another one. I like the struggle or what it takes to build a company. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I plan on doing with my education. I wanted to share a little bit about my story and what it took for me to get to this point and the things that I had to overcome to get where I am today and some of my aspirations for the future. So here we go. I've always had big dreams in my life, but I grew up in an environment that was not conducive to my growth. It wasn't until I got away from my family and what was familiar that I began to thrive beyond just existing. It's nothing short of a miracle and the mercy of God to wake up one day and be sick and tired of my life the way that it was, to the point that I was forced to change my mind about the direction of my destiny. It's not by chance that I am here today, because I prayed and worked very hard to be here. Almost every day for 3 years, I studied and worked on my GED curriculum because I was determined to catch up so I could take and pass that test. In October 2014, I completed the GED program and began college classes for the first time in January of 2015 at Muskegon Community College. The mere idea of being in college and excelling at it means so much to me because I've had to overcome so much to be living the life that I envisioned for myself 5 years ago. Here we are, February 16, 2017, and I'm only a few classes shy of my associate's degree in business. Who would have thought that I would be able to learn about and create a fairly successful online business as a student here at Grand Rapids Community College? Knowledge is truly power. This is why my associate's degree in business marketing is extremely important to me and is relevant in my quest towards success. As a person living with mental illness and a history of bizarre behavior, I deal with adversity on several different levels of my life. I deal with the stigma that comes from misinformed people as it pertains to mental health issues as a whole, as well as how it's represented and portrayed in the media. I deal with people in my life, including family members, who refuse to see the person that I've become after treatment because they are too busy holding on to the person that I was before treatment. Thankfully, I've learned to overcome the naysayers by continuing to press forward towards my goals and drowning out all negative messages and influences. Every morning when I get up, I make the decision not to believe what society says about me, because statistically, according to societal expectations, I'm not supposed to be here. I grew up in poverty. I come from a broken home. I was placed in special education classes in the 3rd grade. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. I was diagnosed with mental illness in my 20s. I spent time in jail and I spent time in a mental hospital. I know some people may frown upon my past, but for me it was my process. The things that were designed to break me that made me stronger in spite of. As a black male that grew up in the inner city of Detroit with a very complex background, statistically, I should be dead in prison or worse. I say to that, thank you, Jesus, for not giving up on me when the rest of the world turned their backs on me. See, there's this thing called grace that God gives freely to those who believe. Grace is the manifested favor of God that surpasses all reasoning and understanding. See, when you know you are walking in the grace of God, you can't help but want to give back and help people challenged with the same issues that you struggle through. See, I believe that one man's trial is another man's breakthrough, which is why I volunteer at Hope Network Behavioral Health as a peer support specialist and group facilitator, a duty that I enjoy and take very seriously. I believe that it is only by God's grace that I am not a product of my environment. I believe that it is because of His grace that I had people around me that believed in me enough to encourage me to reach higher. Grace was my peers and hospital staff that worked with me tirelessly for years studying for my GED test. Grace is the supportive staff here today at GRCC with disability services, the business department, as well as the uplifting brotherhood and camaraderie that is Alpha Beta Omega. Grace is also the GRCC Foundation and scholarship donors that contribute to our educational goals and affirm to us that our hard work is not going unnoticed and that help is available. But for me, my double grace is a 3.5 cumulative GPA that I've managed to hold on to my entire time in college, after being told that college wasn't even possible because of mental health and learning disabilities. When I first started college back in January 2015, I did it just to prove to myself that I could. I wasn't focused on any particular outcome other than graduating. I just wanted to be the first because no one in my family had ever gone beyond high school, and I wanted to break that cycle. Then I moved to Grand Rapids and attended my first business class here at GRCC. And a professor by the name of John Rummery sparked something in me that gave my schooling direction and purpose. It was like for the first time in my life, I knew without a shadow of a doubt what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. It was in that class that I competed in the M-West Challenge and launched my first business, Techno 18 USA, out of my bedroom in a group home with $500 that I got from my mother and $400 that I got from a tuition reimbursement refund. This was by all definitions a lean startup. I started selling compute sticks, which are microcomputer systems on a USB-like drive that turns any TV into a fully functional computer system. Some of my first customers were fellow classmates here at GRCC. It was here that I found out that I had a knack for business, and it was here that I discovered my life passion was to create companies, make them profitable, and sell them. The term for this is serial entrepreneur. I believe that I am graced for this position because creation and innovation is all I think about. In my first year in business, I generated over $20,000 in sales out of my bedroom. So I'm a walking testimony of what can happen when you apply financial support from the donors with the knowledge you learn here at GRCC with the God-given potential inside of each and every one of us. So to the donors, staff, and faculty, I say to you, thank you on behalf of this year's scholarship recipients.
Thank you, Dwayne. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Dwayne is a great example of all of the students that sit here in this room. All of us as individuals have stories for sure, but Dwayne, congratulations on making yours a total success story, and we're glad to be part of that. Thank you. All right, next I'd like to introduce to you all our second scholarship recipient speaker, April Shirey. April is the recipient of the Dr. Philip Seigel Peace and Justice Memorial Scholarship. April, if you'd come to the podium, please.
Good morning, everybody. So I guess first I'd like to say thank you to all of the donors that are here and all of the board members, because without you guys, most of us wouldn't even be able to continue our education. When I was starting to write this, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what do you start out with? It's a speech. Do you start out with a joke? Do you start out with a quote? I'm not a very good public speaker, so I went with a quote. So I found a quote from an anonymous community college student from Cape Fear Community College. And she said, "The people who give money to this foundation are donors, but the word means more to me. When a donor gives a heart, a lung, or a kidney, they are saving someone's life. When someone cannot afford to pay for their education and a donor gives money, in a way you are saving a life as well." I think that that holds true, especially at this community college. I have done personal research on food insecurities within community colleges across the United States. And many students can't afford or know where their next meal is coming from after they pay for tuition. So it is donors like all of you that make it possible for us to continue. I think I went to college the first time right out of high school, and that was not for me. I was just doing what I was told. You graduate high school, you go to college, and you get an education, you get married, and you move on. Well, I tried that, and it was not very successful. So instead, I decided to pack up my car, move away from all of my friends and family in California, and come to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I went into the bar and restaurant industry for 13 years and kind of became stuck. I loved the industry at the time, but towards the end, it was the question of what am I doing with my life? I always wanted to go back to school, but I never did. Then the unthinkable happened, and I was forced to resign from my general management position. I had absolutely no clue what I was going to do. I decided to go back to school here at GRCC, and GRCC welcomed me with open arms. I was a returning college student at 30 years old, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. With a network of amazing professors and people that work at GRCC, I was able to figure it out pretty quickly. I don't have a lot of financial support. I didn't want to take out loans. I didn't want to incur any more debt than I already had, so I decided to pay for everything out of my pocket. I always wanted to go after a scholarship. I was really nervous, fear of rejection and everything. I was encouraged by my husband, who's here with me today, and my mentor, Professor DeVivo. He heads up the geography department here at Grand Rapids Community College. My degree is biogeography. I eventually would like to study patterns of deforestation that are happening around our planet. Both of these men have helped change my life. I have now been able to speak at one conference in California, and I have one coming up this year in Boston as well. Without their encouragement and the encouragement of the faculty at GRCC, none of this would have been possible. Long story short, I'm not sure how I would have paid for this last semester at GRCC. Without this scholarship, I'm not sure how I would have been able to graduate in April, and now I'm able to. I'm taking a lot of classes this last semester. I don't have a lot of time to work. I'm tutoring 9 students in geography here at GRCC, and in April I will walk across the stage, and my mother will be there to see me do it. Not only did this scholarship help pay for tuition, but it also gave me an insane amount of confidence to start applying for other scholarships. I now have a scholarship that will be paying for half of my tuition at Aquinas College coming up this next semester. And I will be obtaining my bachelor's, hopefully, in a couple of years. I also received a travel scholarship to go to Boston to present my partner and I's research on food insecurities within community colleges this coming April. So I guess I'm on my way to changing the world, as most of our scholarship recipients in this room are. Without you donors, like I said, I don't know what we do without you. And GRCC made all of this possible. So I thank you, everybody.
See what I tell you. We are creating the community leaders of tomorrow right here at GRCC, and you're helping us do that. So April and Dwayne, thank you both very much. I know this was difficult this morning, but what you gave to us was worth the little bit of nervousness you felt this morning. So thank you. We appreciate it very much. At your tables, you see that you have a booklet, and it's a thank you booklet. That's a take-home for you, and it's stories. It's pictures and stories of scholarship recipients this year. We hope that you take that with you. We hope that you share that with others, because it is definitely impactful as you read those stories and what your dollars mean to students here at GRCC. We have 700 students this past year that have benefited from scholarships. And that is a significant number of students. One day, my goal, might not be me, but maybe the next person after me, will be able to say that we are able to award a scholarship to every student that walks through the door at GRCC. And we can't do that without you, so thank you very much. We appreciate it. And now, to close the program, I'll invite Larry Murphy, our Foundation Board Chair, to the podium.
Thank you, Kathy. I have notes here that I was supposed to follow to come up and say congratulations to everybody here, but how can you follow what you just heard? And is there any better testament to why we donate, why we as a foundation spend our time making sure that the lifeblood in this room, you students, succeed? And I don't think there's any question to any of us here who are donors or foundation or trustees doubt what the future is like. I mean, congratulations to Dwayne and April and Brandon, but every one of the students in this room has that kind of a story. And I think we're all confident that you are not only going to succeed, but you're going to come back here and support students coming up. Remember, there was a movie called Pay It Forward. Keep that in mind as you grow and prosper and succeed, because you will all do that. And since I'm the last thing between you and class this morning, I'm going to end it there. But congratulations to the donors, congratulations to the students. This, again, has been a very successful connection. Thank you very much, and have a good day.